Hi everyone, welcome to my first reading of Storytime books here in my old rocking chair. Mr. Holloway is going to be using his rocking chair. I'm going to read a story from the wolf's point of view in The Three Little Pigs. The name of this book is called The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. And we read Jack and the Beanstalk, and we took the read about the different perspectives, whether it was the giant or Jack, and we did that in the Benchmark's way of characters. So we're kind of going along that same thing, taking a story and looking at it from the opposite guy's point of view. And in that, we're going to kind of, at the same time, study character traits, which are made up of how a character acts, how they look, how they feel, what their actions are. All of these kind of things I want you to pay special attention to with the wolf, because he feels that he's been badly portrayed in the media as a bad guy. And he'd like to take another perspective for you to, and give you his perspective for you to examine and to interpret some of the traits that perhaps might find him innocent of the ancient fairy tale of the big bad wolf and the three little pigs. This is another perspective. So I'm going to try to attach this document here, asking you what kind of traits you feel that the big bad wolf what he exudes, or what he gives us as the readers. And you can check off what you think. Is he nice, mean, sad, and use some of these vocabulary words that you'll be coming across that many of you should be familiar with. Is he do a lot in the story? Is he a small player? Obviously, he's probably going to be a major player in this story. Is he positive, negative, confident, nervous? How would you describe him? What are the character's thoughts, his actions, his feelings? And how do you feel about him in the end? And perhaps you may find him a sympathetic character, using your empathy skills of understanding how somebody else feels. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to read The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, as told to John Seska, illustrated by Lane Smith. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever told my side of the story from the Big Bad Wolf's side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals and like bunnies and sheeps and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were a big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back, in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now, this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? Who's in their right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, "Little pig, little pig, pig, where are you? Let me in." No answer. I was just about to go without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. Then, when my nose started to itch, I felt a sneeze coming on. And I huffed and I snuffed. And I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar for my dear old grandma's cake. So I went to the next door neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not as much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, Wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I puffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. And when the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Look at the forks around the wolf's little backside. Now, you know, food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old grandma's birthday cake, because I'm sweet like that. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had just built his house out of bricks. I knocked on the brick's house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what the rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks to my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this little pig's door. And the whole time I was huffing and puffing, sneezing, and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the two little pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down stuff, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story? I was framed. And maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. So now you know. Take the big bad wolf's perspective and see that really he just had a little cold. He's just trying to do right and take care of his mom. And they should have built their houses a little stronger. I'll see you on the next Mr. Holloway story time.